Welcome everybody to This Week in X. I'm here with my colleagues, my friends, my co-hosts Tyler, Fariha, and Harry, and we are here to talk about Excalibur number 17, out on the 27th of January 2021. This is a full spoilers discussion. Anything in this series, in this issue, or anything in the status quo of X-Men, and really anything at Marvel's fair game. So just so you know what you're getting into, spoilers galore. To start off, I want to go around and just get our lightning round from the gut reactions to this Excalibur issue, starting with Tyler.
It is a good issue, supported by great art, in my opinion. I think Tini loves writing Betsy, and that's why it shows in this issue, because the other characters have just really big roles. So for me, it's 3.25 wrecking balls out of 5.
I love it. Harry.
I thought this was a lot of fun. I really like kind of the focus on Betsy in this alternate world, and just sort of how just finding out what things are different. And then they introduce an alternate reality version of someone that she used to literally be, which was very interesting. And I was like pleasantly surprised by how much I was locked into this issue. And agreeing with Tyler, the art's just really clean and nice. It's just like a pleasant book. It's like how you feel when you walk into a room and there's like air conditioning that hits you. It's just like, yeah, this is nice.
So is it like how many air condition out of 5?
Right. I'm gonna say 3.5 air conditioners, but very well made, a good quality air conditioners. So.
Okay. Fariha.
So I was on board with it, and then this is kind of like I often talks about like when people write deep cuts or like before previous history, how it's like so weird. This is one that is written well because I didn't need to know any of the other stuff, but just I can infer it and I could read it. It's the last page that really pissed me off. So I'm going to give it 2 crowns out of 5.
Well, I was ecstatic. If you remember to what we're talking about, what we were anticipating, I was like, I want some Betsy alternate reality nonsense in the next issue. I got it. Past that, though, I feel like this book finally came together. Like all of these plot threads that have been dangling and dangling since before X of Swords, it just feels like they got paid off here. Tini Howard made the whole cast feel like they work, even the members of the cast that were not Betsy. I think she gave us exactly what we wanted and not in the way we thought we were going to get it, which was a wonderful psychic knife twist. And so I would give this 3.65 sharp psychic blades out of 5. Tyler started a whole new trend that now we have to keep track of every issue.
Now we have to keep doing it.
Okay.
Keep doing it.
So the first thing that I think we have to talk about here is actually the framing sequence before we get into the actual alternate reality, which is, Pete Wisdom's just minded his business. And basically he gets this person storming in to be like, it's fine to have a Captain Britain, but that Captain Britain can't be one of these damn mutants. They don't say it in so many words. They're like, which breed, this, and that. But their point is partially a racist point, right? Which is that it can't be mutant, but partially maybe a practical point that mutants have allegiance to a totally different country, and is it double jeopardy for them to be Captain Britain? So what do you think about this, folks? And we'll start with Tyler. Is this logical? Is it racist? Where does it fall?
Well, before even I get to that, the first thing I was thinking about when I saw that page was that, these Coven people just walk around everywhere wearing a red cape.
I know.
It's like what's up with that?
It's very obvious.
Yeah, isn't it supposed to be something that is a little bit secretive? Like, but then everyone is walking around with a cape. It's like...
And it's not even like it could be like a trench coat. It's like literally Zach's cape from when we did the Mr. Sinister episode of X-Men Report. Like it's just a velvet cape.
I know.
But there's a very pronounced collar too. It's not just the cape. It's like this other thing. It looks like it looks starched,
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean,
he's a witch. He has a spell for that. He's not at the ironing board. Yeah.
Fair.
I mean, I do agree that there is a little bit of racism or in this the way he phrased it, and I think it is meant to be done that way because they don't use the term mutants. It's like, which breed or something like that. And definitely there is that sense there that this is bias, and this is like I mean, even if you're British and mutant, I'm not going to be like 100% approving of that. And we did see a sliver of that. I think in an earlier issue of Excalibur, where Betsy was walking out of the Buckingham Palace and people were protesting.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, you are not our Captain Britain. We want our Captain Britain back.
Brian the human.
Well, and we don't have to go too personal if not, but Tyler, there are some countries in our current real world where you can't be a citizen of another country while you're a citizen of the other. I mean, should Captain Britain be like that? Like you can't have citizenship elsewhere. Your primary directive is to be Captain Britain.
I don't know. I mean, I believe you can be a person of two countries, and
I do too.
And I don't see a question of allegiance, unless, of course, I mean, maybe in allowing that, you have to say that, oh, if these two countries happen to go to war, you have to make a choice.
Fariha, a woman of three countries, at least, that we know of.
Yes. Yes.
That we know of.
What is your position on that?
So this whole thing is like, she can't be, because I personally think it's just out of pure racism.
Okay.
And then they're trying to justify their racism so they don't come off as racist. So it's kind of comes off as that. And to me, I don't agree that, because the thing is, like, you can do both things. And yes, maybe if there is but the thing is, Krakoa is never going, well, we don't know that. But what I'm going to say though is, like, what is Captain Britain to Britain? Like, so maybe I don't know that, but it's just like, are they just a symbol of Britain, or is there something more about that? Because if they're just a symbol of Britain, then anyone who has British ties can be that person. And Betsy is clearly raised in Britain. She knows what it is to be British. So why can't she be that? And so I don't know if it's like, and Krakoa didn't exist for a month ago. So it's not like something like she's just all of a sudden stopped being British. So from that point of view, it's like, it wasn't that, she was Krakoan before and then she became British, but she was British before. So the thing is, the fact that this is being brought on for her, it's a pure racism.
Harry, anything you want to add there?
No, that's exactly what it is. It's the kind of thing where they're raising like if you squint, like maybe valid questioner point that kind of falls apart.
Exactly.
It's that kind of like the more quiet racism with this. I think like in this moment, I realized how ridiculous this like walking, like bearded cloaks man in a suit is yelling about mutant racism. This is a bizarre character. No, I mean, I think it's an interesting kind of plot point where it draws in Pete Wisdom, but like, he's clearly there. I don't think you got to approach these people in good faith. And I think he's just upset that it's a mutant Captain Britain more than anything.
And the thing is, like, he also doesn't call them mutant. He keeps on calling them witch breed, which like drove me insane. And then the thing is, like, it's like everything rolled into one. It's like a woman Captain Britain. It's like a not Krakoan. Like, it's like, I'm like, he can't focus on which one to be mad about. So he's mad about it all. And just calling her a witch breed. It's like,
almost like,
imagine Betsy in Quannen's body becoming Captain Britain. That would be even worse.
Let's add some more layers to this.
The phrase witch breed is almost like how sometimes religious people can kind of mask tolerance and like phrases and religious things that they're comfortable with. Like, this is like what we're used to and this is how we speak. But like, it's kind of like almost like a vessel for that kind of racism. This guy looks ridiculous. I can't stop looking at his dumb cape. I'm sorry.
Well, and the pin I'll put in this to move us on to the next point is at the end of the conversation, hilariously, he says, "Have I said something to offend you?" to Pete Wisdom, which I'm like, and Wisdom is so not offended, but so annoyed that he actually decides that he's going to visit Krakoa. And like, Pete Wisdom does not want to visit Krakoa. He's referring to it as that terrible Margaritaville, which might be how I start referring to Krakoa.
It's so funny.
But he's like he's heading on down to Margaritaville because he's that annoyed about this that it's actually forced him to like take a side and acknowledge that he's a mutant as well as British, which Pete Wisdom doesn't tend to go for. That's not really Pete Wisdom's MO typically. But before we get back to that, now let's talk about really the meat of this issue, which is what is up with that cliffhanger we had of Betsy's breakfast in bed with Warren, the angel. And we find out that she got shunted into an alternate reality to replace that reality's Betsy, who happens to be the Queen of England. And in this reality, the Queen Betsy has a wonderful grasp on how all of these alternate reality hijinks tend to happen. And she's already pre-written this memo to be like, do what you can to switch us back. And while you're doing it, don't give any details. This Betsy has seen Back to the Future. She knows what the rules are. And she's like, you cannot tell them what's happening on the alternate Earth. And this takes up a lot of our issue. And we get a lot of revelations about this other worlds, Warren and Quanon, which then in turn makes our Betsy have some feelings. So I think this is really what the bulk of the issue is about. Tyler, what did you think about this whole set of plot points?
It seems to suggest that Betsy and Quanon have to face each other and talk about, or at least admit certain things that have happened, for however long this stretchy time is, where Betsy was in Quanon's body. And what I do not understand is Betsy apologizing to Quanon, because what's the point of apologizing to someone whom you did not wrong? I mean, she's in a different alternate universe. So I would say, just reserve that for Helen's Quanon. Why?
It's just fresh. Like she can't like turn it off. Like that is, either it's a different reality. That is the face that I kind of not stole, but inhabited and what have you. Like it may just be harder to turn that off, even though like logically it's not the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Fariha, thoughts on that?
So
you don't have the backstory with Psylocke that we do. You've not read a ton of Psylocke previously, right?
No, I have not, but I did read the wiki long ago. So because I was very confused after reading Hellion. I'm like, who is he? It was to what Tyler was talking about, what you were talking about, and like that this alternate Betsy wrote down the thing and then said that don't say any detail. But I was actually constantly thinking, I'm like, okay, even if she said details, what's gonna happen? Because this is alternate reality. This is not alternate time. This is not a future jump. And to that point, it's like, yeah, when she was saying that, oh, I'm sorry, I'm like, why? Sorry to whom? Like, this is, as a matter of fact, also that the angel is now two-timing with a different Betsy.
No. Ex-wife.
No. But this new reality Betsy, it's not his Betsy.
Yeah, he's cozying up to our Betsy awfully fast.
Yeah,
it's like, let's snuggle. Any purple hair is
it's good enough. Like, that too. I was more shocked by that. I'm like,
that's a good point.
Also, like what?
And Warren's he's got a he
cannot keep a shirt on.
No, like, he's got a crazy amount of cleavage, male cleavage. There's like a lot. Like, please. And then also he says he's 90 minutes late for a meeting. He's a terrible CEO where he's just like just chilling and not even dressed, just in his bathrobe.
I had a couple of feelings that maybe were slightly a hair different than a few of yours. Mm-hmm. One of which is about the apology thing with Quanon, which first kind of bugged me in the way that it bugged some of you. But the way that I saw it here is like, Betsy feels like she was left with less in our reality, and she decided to be Captain Britain because she was left with relatively little, even though she regained her original body. Mm-hmm. And in this reality, she realized that the body shift hasn't happened, but she's still taken something from Quanon, which is Warren. Now, we don't know how their relationship ended and why she's his ex-wife here, but it almost felt like Betsy wanted to, by proxy, say something about that she's pretty sure the Queen of England would never say. And that's how I read it. She was like, I know that this is not the apology or the words that I have to have with my Quanon, but I can say a thing in this reality that this Betsy probably can never say. And I thought that was kind of an interesting dynamic, even though Quanon was like, shut up, get through the portal.
Well, now that you say it, I approve of this. I'm gonna use I'm gonna accept this.
Yeah, this is canon now.
This is the explanation.
Well, and also the other thing I'll just throw out there is I think it was great that Teenie Howard did this to give us our first Betsy Quanon team up, and they've like appeared together before, even going so far back as the 1991 X-Men series when we first really meet Quanon as her own character. But now, after everything that's happened, I think it worked here because we got to see how equal footing Betsy could be on with Quanon. Like, she's good at the stealthy stuff. She throws her when she tries to grab her, so that we don't, when we get to that inevitable conflict in our own reality, it's not just like, oh, well, you had Betsy totally jobbed to Quanon, or you have Quanon totally jobbed to Betsy. She kind of established it away from the battle board of the main conflict, and I think that was incredibly smart.
That is a fair point. So I have a question about one particular scene. It might be nothing, but as Betsy was looking out the window with a cup of tea, there was this sound effect thing in the cup, and then a close-up of the cup. I don't know what that is or what that's supposed to represent. Like, are we supposed to think that something hitchhiked back with Betsy from the other from this Queen Elizabeth III universe?
Yeah, the close-up of the cup, I was like, is that supposed to be like the psychic butterfly? Like, I don't think it was, but what was that symbol?
I thought it looked like a sword, but I couldn't think of like what particular sword, now that we've had so many. But yeah.
Do you think it's maybe just like a reading tea leaves moment, and it was supposed to signify something, like the mutant machine of them all like linked together? I was counting and there were 7. What do you think, Fariha? Is there anything to this?
Better died is in the tea leaves. Just kidding. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, British people have their teas. Who knows? Who knows what's going on there? These are royalty, and these are royalties. So
it's just a British thing, I guess.
Yeah, just a British thing. Ting.
But that's close up on the tea. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
I'm just looking at it. Yeah, and it's like we have a plan to execute. Yeah, like it's just. I mean, I didn't think more about it. I just thought that this was just a scene transition.
Okay.
Could be a snowflake.
So to the other half of this plot, Wisdom arrives in Krakoa being like, all right, fine, I'm going to come through your darn gate, only to find the rest of Excalibur moving out of Krakoa to the Lighthouse. Now, the last time we all saw them, they're in a freaking field doing a magic spell with Megan. Like, I kind of had this like, whoa, like, where are we right now? As he encounters them, and they're telling him, don't go to Otherworld, when they just came from Otherworld. Yeah. But I think we could also, in addition to digging into this, pause for a second and talk about 2 things. One is the art, because I love the models that Toe is using for these characters. I think he might be my favorite Jubilee at this point. Like, I'm just willing to say Toe's Jubilee is my favorite. I don't know, any art thoughts you want to log in at this point before we dig into story?
I love the art. It's really good.
I was about to say Jubilee. He draws a great Jubilee. Yeah.
It's really funny and expressive. The faces, I thought it was really well done.
He draws a great Pete Wisdom, because I don't really know much about the character, but I just read I'm sorry, and I've read every issue of Hellblazer in the last week, so I'm like, oh, it's Marvel's Constantine.
You read all 300 issues of Hellblazer in a week?
I did.
Where's that content? We gotta
turn it around.
Yeah.
No, but I was like, oh, this is clearly like Marvel's Constantine mutant. It's interesting. I think it worked for me a lot better. I think like he's appropriately kind of scruffy in this. He's kind of haggard. Like it clicked for me more now that I have our context.
Fariha.
Oh, he's 100%. He's 100% Marvel's Constantine, and that's one of the reasons he cannot get like a series going, because people are like, this is Constantine, what are you trying to do? So
I love that he's like the British government Constantine.
Yes.
Like it shifts the perspective of it a little bit, because he's not the magic guy. He's always kind of like, oh, I'm in the freaking Secret Service. It's so freaking stupid. Like but it's the exact same way that Constantine talks about magic. but
Right,
it just
so-
shifted over, to a different context.
And he ends his scene so well, where he's like, they're offering him like the lay, and he's just like,
Yeah.
get away from me. He just hates being on Krakoa. It's super funny.
And Toe draws the kid with this little sad face. Oh, it's great.
Like I that's just so me though, because I'll be like, like especially kids approaching me, I'm like, oh, get away from me.
I know he looks like actually scared. He's like, ah.
Yeah, get away from me. But no, I mean the art over here is actually a little bit better than it's better than average. Like, you have your average Marvel house style. And then as I was looking through that, I felt like this was far and beyond. And it was not any of the other big names that we talk about, but this is different. And this is like very cleaner and fresh. So I thought, I always say that if the art, I don't recognize art unless it's good. So I recognized it. It's good.
But I did get a little bit confused by the gates though, because
the perspective was a little funny in that whole scene.
And I forgot that the gate to Avalon was actually created right outside right in the lighthouse, because I kept thinking, wait, where are they? Why are they carrying boxes when they say they are moving to the lighthouse? Are they in the lighthouse, or are they on Krakoa, or and then the other thing that I was thinking of is that, so Hellions went from Krakoa to the lighthouse, and then from the lighthouse to Avalon. And then when they came back the same way. So Avalon to lighthouse, lighthouse to Krakoa. So, and I mean, to Tini's credit, she's like, oh yeah, those two gates are very close to each other. So you step out of one, you can go into the other one. I think that was maybe the reason why they did it that way.
Yeah, though I think the one negative I had is there are a couple of points that at that point, especially when Rogue is halfway through the gate and she's reaching back through, where I just needed more establishing panels in the larger space. I think it's something that we've seen both Laraz and also Kassara do really well with the gates, is they know to pull back a little bit to let us know where the gate is in the space of the room, so they can then do the tight shots. And I think that Toe, to me, draws great backgrounds and environments and stuff, but he's very much like a character animator to me. That's the way I look at Marcus Toe's art. And so in this instance, I was like, he did kind of miss giving us an establishing shot that would be wide enough to understand where the people were in space. So it wasn't a deal breaker. It didn't make me dislike the art, but it just was like, note for future.
Yep.
Well, I think the only thing left here is kind of the big conclusion, which, we have intercut. Betsy and Quanon gets to what the lighthouse was. Betsy is surprised to realize it's not a literal lighthouse in the other reality, even though it's always still the kind of the weak spot in the reality fabric that'll let you jump through the other world. Meanwhile, the what are they? The Red Cape Witch, the Allegiance, they don't like druids, they don't like witches. Are they Aqaba? Right. But not like
Aqaba.
But like converted Aqaba who've drifted.
There's no longer following Apocalypse.
Right.
So it's a different Aqaba.
They're
and
splinter group.
And I was like, why do they need to bring a wrecking ball to go into the lighthouse? I mean, doesn't the lighthouse have a door or window or like? Aren't they supposed to be magician? So why do they need to drive a wrecking ball all the way up to the lighthouse to punch a hole into the lighthouse? I don't know.
Roads are actually kind of like, it's not all well-made road, right? To the lighthouse, typically.
That's what I think is not, yeah.
Yeah, and they have it like perched right on
driving.
the edge of the cliff. Like, that's not
Right.
that smart.
It's like, how did you drive there? But anyway.
Well, and also, so the other thing that stuck out to me in this scene is basically the other X-Men are like, oh, non-lethal. And Richter's like, again, playing this two countries theme. Richter's like, screw that. I'm a druid now too. And we don't have rules about not killing humans. And they're trying to kill us, which again, I think like, this stuff is, these are deliberate choices. This whole issue is Howard writing about people who have two facets to their identity. Betsy just as Betsy with the Betsy and Quanon split. Betsy is a mutant and a British person. The same for Wisdom. And now we're getting this idea of, Richter as a mutant and also starting to identify as a druidic, and that he doesn't have to only follow the mutant rules, which it was a quick moment, but I was like, I love a comic book that actually has thematic elements. It makes me happy.
And Richter's also like a blue daddy acolyte now. So
He also stands for the big guy.
yeah, it also stands for that. So this is kind of where I started losing it though. Because I was like, okay, there was all this buildup of, oh my God, where is Betsy? And we're gonna search for Betsy. We went to the Otherworld, but then we're not in Otherworld.
Right.
We're moving, apparently. Apparently it's moving day in Krakow. And then there was also anti-cat sentiment by Jubilee. How dare she? We have to
I know.
Yeah, but
discuss that.
she doesn't like poop in the box.
That's better than what dogs do.
Yeah, like I mean, please. And then there was all of that.
Team
and then,
cat.
Yeah,
Who
Team
would be
Cat
mad at
over
this
here.
guy? Come on.
Exactly. Look at her.
Look at this.
Am I the only dog lover here?
Yes.
I love dogs.
Oh no!
I have two parts of my identity. I like both.
Okay.
Yeah. And then doing all of that, and then guess what? Betsy's here. Case closed.
Yeah,
Well,
I just don't understand what happened with all that
no.
Otherworld stuff. Like, it feels like we missed an issue. What happened?
No. The Otherworld stuff, they basically summon the rest of the Captain Britain Corp, right? Instead of bringing
what?
back. No, and then the Captain Britain will say, okay, we'll try and search it for you.
Okay.
So yes, there is no continuation from that thread. But my question is this: we do not know that the Betsy that walked out of the water is our Betsy.
Oh, you think she's Queen Betsy?
Oh.
Yeah, because the way I'm thinking of it is this way. There are 9 bodies and 10 Betsies, because one of the Betsy body got destroyed in Otherworld by Saturnine. She got like turned into into glass and shadows.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like musical chair, right? So now maybe Betsy has gone out of the body of like the Queen Elizabeth, and then Queen Elizabeth got pushed back and the body got transported into 616. We don't know.
That sounds awesome.
Is it a musical chair? Musical body chair?
That's what I was thinking of when I was trying to come up with an analogy of what I'm thinking of. So that's what I'm thinking. So because there's only one word balloon, which is help. And they say that, it feels like someone we know, but they are all Betsy, so they all feel like someone they know.
Oh,
you don't know who that is.
I really hope you're right. That's awesome.
If that is the case, I'm upgrading mine to 4 crowns out of 5. Because the thing is, like, I was very annoyed by that. It's like, okay, there was all this hula la about like, oh my God, where's Betsy? I'm like, and it's gonna be solved after 2 issues. That's just so weird. And the thing is, like, I want to see that, Betsy going from being shot from one reality to another or something like that. I was kind of gearing up for that. I love alternate reality stuff. So, and then it's like, help. I'm like, oh, like, so, but if that is the case, 4 out of 5 crowns.
I agree. Yeah, the ending doesn't have a lot of punch because it is just like, we got her. But if you're right that, like, Tyler, that like there is some kind of variation where she's kind of hopping around, that sounds great. Like, I'm kind of getting more. I really hope you're right. I'm getting into this.
But I'm also very scared now. It's like my soul suddenly started hopping around from realities to reality.
No,
this is going to be a new phobia.
I mean, the reason why I thought it was like... The only reason why I thought it was like this was because the next issue, the Krakoan verse, is who's there?
Oh. Who is there?
Who is there? You know
there?
who. Fine. So now that Tyler has totally blown our minds
I know.
with the different reading of the ending, does anybody have any small thing they want to pull out that we have not already just discussed here about Excalibur number 17?
One name. Alexander Stewart, which was she's like the director of the Queen Elizabeth III, that King James Memorial Intelligence Center director, which was kind of like a deep cut into like original Claremont Davis Excalibur run. I
want Pete Wisdom to be in one series full time.
I love him.
Whether it's Excalibur, whether it's X-Force, he should be in X-Force, to be honest.
No, I think he should just join Marauders and
or that. I don't. Or Hellions even, I don't know, give him anything. Like, I want him to be full-time in one team book.
More than anything, it was more the show, but I really liked, Peter, your point about kind of like Richter and all these characters having different, having two identities and kind of figuring out their place with them and what have you. I think that's a really nice thematic thing, and I hope it continues.
And now that I said it out loud, I find myself like looking at the other characters like, well, gosh, Rogue, who was herself and Captain Marvel for all these years. And then like, what can we say about Jubilee's identity? She was a mutant and a vampire. She's, this young orphaned woman and also a mom. And, Gambit is a sleazebag and also a thief, okay,
maybe not him.
No, I was just wondering. Gambit propaganda over here.
It's an anti-Gambit world, I think you're going to discover. The reality has an anti-Gambit bias. But anyway, I guess I just kind of found myself wondering, like, has this really been, did we think the book was about magic and we're getting bored with it when really it's been about identity all along, I guess is my closing.
Now I got to reread this whole series.
Oh, no. Fariha will not.
Actually, no, to be honest, though, now that you say it, the oversized hardcover is actually up for pre-order next month. So
get in there, folks. Well, that is our discussion of Excalibur 17. If you're looking for discussions of other X-Men books out on the 27th of January, 2021, there's other episodes for that. But thank you so much for joining us on this one. We love talking about X-Men together because why, Fariha?
X-Men is better when it's read together.
That's right. So for myself, Tyler, Harry, and Fariha, and we want to all thank you for joining us. We hope you're going to join us for some more discussion, and please be well.
Bye.